Margaret Caldwell, whose daughter Emma was murdered 19 years ago, has met with the First Minister of Scotland. Her family is calling for a public inquiry into the flawed investigation into Emma's killing. Iain Packer was jailed for life last week. He was found guilty of murdering a 27-year-old Emma back in 2005, as well as a number of other serious offences against women.
Women not only live in fear of violence on an everyday basis, they live in fear of those who police us, the fear of not being believed or being dismissed as Emma was, and the fear of abuse by men in power. These are real fears, not imagined, and sadly there are all too many examples of police officers assaulting women and children, sexist behaviour and comments caused by misogyny. How many women have to die or be raped before our police service and criminal justice system is held to account? We welcome the public statements of Humza Yousaf on tackling misogyny and violence against women, and we hope he will now commit to a robust and independent public inquiry on the catastrophic failures in the Emma Caldwell case.
Our Scotland correspondent Conor Gillis has the latest.
Reading between the lines there is no doubt in the coming days there will be that announcement of a public inquiry. The Humza Yousaf, the First Minister here, saying he was giving primary consideration to the calls from the Caldwell family for there to be a statutory public inquiry examining the major police failings in this case. An announcement, he said, will be made in the coming days. Why does all of this matter? Well, this was one of the biggest police investigations in Scottish history. It was arguably the biggest botched investigation leading to the biggest scandal in Scottish policing history. A scandal that allowed a serial rapist and murderer to evade justice for up to 2 decades. A man called Iain Packer, who was convicted last week at the High Court in Glasgow of a string of sex attacks on vulnerable women spanning the decades. A man who will now spend 36 years behind bars. And Margaret Caldwell, who was standing in this very spot a few moments ago, knows fine well the crimes committed by Iain Packer because her daughter was very much a victim of Packer's atrocious crimes. She was lured from the streets of Glasgow in 2005 while she was working as a sex worker, an industry that she fell into after the loss of her sister to cancer. She became addicted to heroin and fell into this horrendous lifestyle that her parents did not know anything about. And she was taken from the red light district and dumped, her body dumped naked in woodland 40 miles away. That led to a police investigation, a botched police investigation where police knew that Packer had taken Emma Caldwell to those same woods, but they ignored warnings. We also heard here on Sky News from various sex workers at the time who said that they told officers in the years before Emma was murdered that he was a sexually violent predator. Yet they were ignored. In one case, one of them was even arrested for prostitution. There is no doubt this is a scandal of a huge magnitude, and that is why there have been so many calls for a public inquiry coming squarely from the Caldwell family, their legal representatives and politicians across the political divide here in Scotland. It seems that the resident of this place behind me, the First Minister of Scotland, Humza Yousaf, is leaning in that direction. The Caldwell family will meet with the current head of policing here in Scotland and then the head of the prosecution service this week before, no doubt, before the end of this week, we'll find out whether that is happening or not.